Hello everybody, I am Dr. Devi and in today's session we are going to see an interesting and important topic from the chapter Body Fluids and Circulation, and our topic is the human heart. For the proper functioning of our body, our cells require certain essential substances like oxygen and nutrients. That is, suppose these are cells in our body, that is the basic unit of our body, cells. This cells requires oxygen and nutrients for its functioning. So the cells receives oxygen and do all the cellular activities, and as a result of cellular metabolism, various waste products, especially carbon dioxide, is forming inside our cells. Okay, and these carbon dioxide, that is a gaseous waste, has to be eliminated out of the body. Okay, dear students. Now, who is going to provide these essential substances to the cells and carries away the waste substances from the cell? For that, in our body, there is a transport medium that is known as the blood. And in human beings, the blood is a transporting medium and it is passing through specialized channels, the closed channels known as the blood vessels like arteries, arterioles, capillaries, venules and veins. So suppose this is a blood vessel, this is our blood vessel, and this is a closed specialized channel for the transport, for the passage of blood. Suppose this is a blood. So blood is passing through these channels. They are known as the blood vessels. Examples like arteries, arterioles, capillaries, venules and veins. Okay. For the easy passage of blood through the blood vessels, we need a pumping system, and that pumping organ in our body is our heart. Now we will move on to the detailed structure of heart. Okay, dear students, shall I rub this? Yes. Structure of heart. Before going to the detailed structure of heart, we will see where is it located, what is the shape of the heart, what is the color of the heart and the weight of the heart. Okay, so heart is a conical shaped muscular organ. It is a conical shaped, it is conical in shape. Heart is conical in shape and it is a muscular organ. It is a muscular organ, weighs about, that is, its weight is about 280 to 350 grams in males, 280 to 350 grams in males, and about 230 to 280 grams in females. Okay, the weight of the heart is 280 to 350 grams in males and 230 to 280 grams in female. Okay, and heart is conical in shape. It is conical in shape and it is a muscular organ. Heart is a muscular organ. Now we can see where is the location of our heart. In our body, where is it located? Okay, so I am going to rub this. It is a conical shaped muscular organ, weighs about 280 to 350 grams in males and 230 to 280 grams in females. Okay, and the location of, when it comes to the location of the heart is located in our thoracic cavity. It is located in our thoracic cavity. So where is the thoracic cavity in our body? Which part is the thoracic cavity in our body? So To mention the thoracic cavity in our body, I'll quickly draw the diagram, the outline of a man. So here is our beautiful man. You can see the structure of a man here. I'll draw like this. And in this man, we can see a dome-shaped muscular structure here that separates the body into upper part and lower part. Okay, and that muscular part, this muscular structure is known as the diaphragm. This muscular structure is the diaphragm. And our heart is a conical shaped structure. Heart is a conical shaped muscular organ that is located in the thoracic cavity and it is resting over the diaphragm. That is, it is placed over the diaphragm. So that I can draw a small heart here, a very small heart here, and it is resting over the dome-shaped muscular structure, that is the diaphragm, and it is located in between the two lungs. Our heart is located in between the two lungs. Okay, heart is located in between the two lungs, and on either side of the heart we can see the ribs. On either side of the heart we can see here is the ribs. Okay, and in front of the heart there is a bone which is known as sternum. The front of the heart, there we can see a bone known as the sternum. Sternum, it is also known as chest bone. Sternum or chest bone, or otherwise it is known as the breast bone. That is, in front of the heart is a bone. That is the sternum or chest bone or breastbone. Okay, and behind the heart, that is our dorsal part of the body, we can see the vertebral column. The vertebral column. So dear students, our heart is located in the chest part. That is the thoracic cavity of our body, and it is resting over the diaphragm in between the two lungs, and on either side of the heart there is a covering. It is covered with ribs. Okay, rib cage, and in front of the heart we can see the sternum or chest bone, or it is also known as the breastbone. Okay, and behind the heart we can see the vertebral column, and this entire area of the body is the thoracic, that is the thoracic cavity. This area of the body is known as the thoracic cavity. And again, one more point is there. In the thoracic cavity, this particular area where the heart is located, this particular portion where the heart is located is known as the mediastinum. The mediastinum. That is a mediastinum. That is in between the two lungs. Okay, I hope now the location of the heart is clear. And the size of the heart is that I have mentioned earlier, and it is the size of one's own clenched fist. Okay, dear students, so we will move on to the deeper side of the heart, into the internal structure of the heart. Okay, ready? Yes. So we will see the detailed structure of our heart. So that I want to draw another diagram here. That is why I am rubbing this. That is the sternum. Then it is also known as chest bone, breastbone, and then what else? The vertebral column, etc. Then moving into the detailed structure of the heart, we can see the chambers of the heart. Chambers of the heart. The chambers of the heart. Okay, so our heart is a conical shaped muscular structure. Again, I will draw the diagram. Our heart is a conical shaped muscular structure. If we are looking our heart from outside, we can see it like this, and this is a conical shaped muscular structure, our heart. Okay, now the heart is, and it is separated into two halves, the right half and the left half. That is, students, when we are learning the anatomy of any organ, we are looking at somebody else. Now you are learning the structure of human heart. So you are looking at me. Okay, this is my right side and this is my left side. This is my right hand, this is my left hand. And if I divide the board accordingly, now we can see this is the right side of the board. This is the right side of the board and this is the left side of the board. Okay, so here our heart is also divided into right half as well as the left half. So this is the right part of the heart and this is the left side of the heart. Okay, and at the top portion of the heart, that is a broader, much broader than the bottom portion. This broader or widened area of the heart is the base of the heart. That is the base of the heart. And this portion, this narrowed portion, that is towards the tip, it is getting narrowed. And that part is the apex of the heart. This is known as the apex of the heart. Okay, now we can move on to the chambers of the heart. Chambers of the heart. Okay, there are 4 chambers. We can see 4 chambers in our heart. 2 top chambers or upper chambers. 2 upper chambers or top chambers. 2 upper chambers or top chambers and 2 bottom chambers. 2 bottom chambers. Here we can see the 2 upper chambers, 2 in number, and 2 bottom chambers. 2 upper chambers and 2 bottom chambers. And these top chambers or the upper chambers are the receiving chambers. These are the receiving chambers. Upper chambers are the receiving chambers. Why they are known as the receiving chambers? Because they receives blood from different parts of the body. Upper chambers receives blood from different parts of the body. And these receiving chambers are known as auricles. These are known as auricles or atria. These are known as auricles or atria. Likewise, the bottom chambers. These are the bottom chambers. Okay, that bottom chambers are also known as, they are the pumping chambers. They are the pumping chambers. The bottom chambers, or it is also known as the pumping chambers. It pumps blood from the heart to different parts of the body. Okay, and that pumping chambers are known as the ventricles. They are the ventricles. The pumping chambers or the bottom chambers of the heart is known as the ventricles. Now we can see there is a partition, there is a separation from the top portion, that is from the upper chambers and the lower chambers of the heart. There is a partition, and that partition, okay, before that I will explain you about the right half and left half. Okay, this is a septum, this is a partition that is known as, this is a muscular septum, that is, this is the septum that separates the right side of the heart from the left side. Now we know that this is the 2 upper chambers and this is the bottom chambers. So this is our right auricle and this is our right auricle, and this portion is our left auricle. And when comes down, this is our right ventricle and here comes the left ventricle. Okay, so this right ventricle is separated from the left ventricle through, the entire thing is known as a septum, and when comes to the ventricle, it is interventricular septum. So that I can write here in between. Inter means in between. Interventricular. There is no much space to write the whole interventricular, the whole term. Okay. So this portion is the interventricular septum. That is the partition which separate the right ventricle from the left ventricle. Likewise here, the top portion we can say that this is the what? So when we are labeling an organ, we do not cut the organ with a thick line. Always use dotted lines. Okay. So this is our interauricular septum. Why it is known as interauricular septum? Because it is a partition, this is a separation from right auricle from left auricle. That is a separation between auricles. Right auricle is separated from left auricle through interauricular septum, and the right ventricle is separated from the left ventricle through interventricular septum. Similarly, the top part, the top chambers, that is both these auricles are separated from these ventricles through valves, through certain valves. Here we can see a valve like this, and the left side a valve like this. The left side we can see the valve like this. And these valves are known as auriculo-ventricular valves. These valves are known as ventricular valves. Auriculo-ventricular valves. And what is the difference here? What is the difference you have noticed in these two valves? Is there any difference? Yes, very good. That is, the difference between the valve which is present in the right side is from the left side is that the right side valve consists of 3 flaps. The valve which is present at the right side of the heart, that is in between the right auricle and the right ventricle, consists of 3 flaps or 3 cusps. Hence, the name of this valve is tricuspid valve. So, I am rubbing the students, that is auricles and the ventricles. The 2 chambers, the name of the 2 chambers. I am rubbing that. Then only I can label it. Okay. Right. Then, so the valve which is present the right side of the heart, that is in between the right auricle and right ventricle, is a, what is that? It is a tricuspid valve. Tricuspid valve, because it consists of 3 flaps, 3 cusps. Whereas here, the left side of the heart, the valve consists of only 2 cusps. Only 2 cusps. That is, there is a couple of cusps. Hence, the name is, here I can represent that, bicuspid valve. Bicuspid valve. The bicuspid valve is also known as mitral valve. The bicuspid valve is also known as mitral valve. Here, shall I rub the interventricular septum? The labeling, interventricular septum. I am going to rub that. Bicuspid valve. It is also known as the bicuspid valve, or it is also known as the mitral valve. Why it is known as mitral valve? Because it looks like a bishop's headdress or mitre. That is why the name mitral valve. Now, don't confuse it with the tricuspid valve. That is, the right side of the heart, the auriculo-ventricular valve has 3 cusps or 3 flaps, but in the left side it has only 2 cusps. For that, I can give you a clue like this. That is, this is a letter L, alphabet L. Okay, dear students, L is for left. That is for left side. And how many fingers are here? 2. 2 fingers represents the alphabet L. So that you can remember that In the left side of the heart, the valve consists of two cusps, hence the name bicuspid valve, whereas here the name is tricuspid valve. Now one more thing is that is these valves are kept in position during the pumping of heart. How it is keeping in the position? That is through certain cord-like structures, certain thread-like structures, and these thread-like structures like this, and these thread-like structures are attached to papillary muscles, to some muscles which are present in the wall of the heart. They are the papillary muscles in both sides. In both sides these are attached with papillary muscles, and these thread-like structures are known as chordae tendineae. Chordae tendineae. The thread-like structures that attaches with papillary muscles and that helps to hold or to keep the valves in position during the pumping of the heart. Okay, and that thread-like structures are known as chordae tendineae. And these chordae tendineae, the thread-like structures, the chordae tendineae are attached with papillary muscles. They are attached with, these are the papillary muscles. These are attached with papillary muscles. Okay, dear students. Now let us move on to the four chambers are here, and the valves are also represented here. Chordae tendineae is there, papillary muscles are there. This part is the base and this portion is the apex. And now one more thing is that our heart, it is located in our thoracic cavity, but the apex of the heart is slightly tilted towards the left side of the body. The heart is slightly tilted towards the left side of our body. The apex goes towards the left side of the body. Okay, now we will move on to the blood vessels which are coming into the heart as well as going out of the heart. Okay, so that I can rub this. I am going to rub this labelings. I hope it is clear for you, and if you have any doubts you can ask me. Okay, so that I am going to rub all these things here. This also. Now we can see the blood vessels. Blood vessels in the heart. Blood vessels in the heart. When we are coming into the blood vessels of our heart, there are two veins, major veins that carries blood to the heart. There are two major veins that comes into the heart. They are, here I will represent the major veins. One vein is here, that is our superior vena cava, and the other one is located here. This is our inferior vena cava. The superior vena cava opens here, and the opening of inferior vena cava is here. That is, both these veins open into the right auricle. This is our superior. This is a superior vena cava. This vein is a superior vena cava, this one, and this is our inferior vena cava. Superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Okay, and this superior vena cava, what is the function of superior vena cava? Superior vena cava carries impure blood. What do you mean by impure blood? That is a deoxygenated blood. Impure blood or deoxygenated blood impure blood or deoxygenated blood or impure blood, that is the blood which is rich in carbon dioxide. It is the blood which is rich in carbon dioxide or deficient in oxygen. That is after cellular metabolism, there is waste materials, the gaseous waste carbon dioxide is forming in our body. So from the top portion of the body above the heart, from the top portion of our body like our head, face, neck and arms, from such parts of the body, this blood vessel, this vein carries the deoxygenated blood into the right auricle, so that the opening of the superior vena cava is here at the top part of the right auricle, and from the bottom portion of our body, that is below the diaphragm, here is our diaphragm, below the diaphragm, that is from beneath the diaphragm, the inferior vena cava carries the deoxygenated blood. Deoxygenated blood means the blood which is rich in carbon dioxide and it is deficient in oxygen. Okay, so that now our right auricle is filled with which blood? Right auricle is filled with impure blood. The right auricle is now filled with impure blood. We are discussing about the blood vessels in our heart. Okay, so now the right auricle is filled with impure blood. While moving on to the another blood vessel, before that I can rub this. I will rub this, the chordae tendineae. This part also I am rubbing. Chordae tendineae. This is, now it is not needed here because I want to explain something else. So that I am rubbing this, the chordae tendineae as well as the papillary muscles. Chordae tendineae and papillary muscles. Yes, dear students. Now we can see that. Now the right auricle, this is our right auricle. Right auricle is now filled with impure blood or deoxygenated blood. And what happens is, when the right auricle is filled with the impure blood or the blood which is rich in carbon dioxide, the auricle starts contraction. Because it is filled with, it is slightly started expanding. It is filled with what? Now it is filled with the impure blood. Now the auricle starts contraction. And that contraction of the chambers of the heart, contraction of the auricle, is known as systole. It is a systole. That is auricular systole. And as a result of auricular systole or contraction of the auricle, what happens is the tricuspid valve, suddenly the tricuspid valve opens. The tricuspid valve opens and the deoxygenated blood rushes into this chamber. What is this chamber? This is a right ventricle. So now our right ventricle is filled with deoxygenated blood, that is the impure blood or the blood which is rich in carbon dioxide. So once again, from the top portion of our body, superior vena cava carries the impure blood, carbon dioxide rich blood, into the right auricle. Similarly, from the bottom portion of the body, this is inferior vena cava that carries the deoxygenated blood into the right auricle. Both these veins opens in the right auricle. Now, and the right auricle is filled with deoxygenated blood. It starts contraction or squeezing, and the tricuspid valve opens suddenly. It is a sudden action. The tricuspid valve opens and the blood, the deoxygenated blood, rushes into the what? Right ventricle. Okay. Now the right ventricle is filled with deoxygenated blood. The right ventricle of our heart is filled with deoxygenated blood. Right? And the right ventricle starts contraction. The right ventricle starts contraction. That is ventricular systole. By that time, the auricles starts relaxing. The auricle starts relaxing. First it contracted, now it is relaxing. And that relaxing is known as diastole. That is known as diastole. the relaxation, is known as diastole. The systole is known as the contraction of the chambers of the heart, and the diastole is known as a relaxation of the chambers of the heart. Actually, we were discussing about the blood vessels. Now we reached here, that is the deoxygenated blood is now in our right ventricle. Now the right ventricle is filled with deoxygenated blood, the impure blood. And here we can see another blood vessel. Here we discussed about the two veins, that is superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Now we are going to see the arteries. The artery which is going from the heart, going out of the heart. That is, here is a location of that particular artery that is going out of the heart, and it goes up and bifurcates at the top of the heart. Going up and bifurcates at the top of the heart, and the branches goes into the two lungs. That is, this particular artery is the pulmonary artery. So superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, I am rubbing these things, superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Okay, now this is our pulmonary artery. This is the pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery. This is our pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery. Okay, so this pulmonary artery opens from the right ventricle, and when the pulmonary artery is going up and above the heart, it just bifurcates. One part is going to the left lung. This is the left side. So one part of the pulmonary artery is going to the left lung. One part of the pulmonary artery is going to the left lung, and the other part of the pulmonary artery is going to the right lung. So the pulmonary artery originates, it opens from the right ventricle of the heart. It goes upwards and it bifurcates into two. One part is going to the right lung and the another part is going to the left lung. And this carries the deoxygenated blood. The pulmonary artery carries a deoxygenated blood. That is, our right ventricle is filled with deoxygenated blood. Now the right ventricle, after filling it with deoxygenated blood, the ventricle starts contraction. That is the ventricular systole. As a result, there is a valve that separates the right ventricle from the pulmonary artery. Why it is known as pulmonary artery? Because this artery is going into the lungs. The word pulmonary, that is related with lungs. So the name pulmonary artery. It is going to the two lungs. Okay. So as a result of the ventricular contraction, the valve that separates the right ventricle from the pulmonary artery, that is a semi-lunar valve. Semi-lunar valve, because it is half moon shaped valve. That is why it is known as a semi-lunar valve. And the semi-lunar valve, which is present in the lower part of this part of the pulmonary artery, is known as pulmonary semi-lunar valve. That is known as a pulmonary semi-lunar valve. Pulmonary semi-lunar valve. Pulmonary semi-lunar valve is located here. That is the separation that separates the pulmonary artery from the right ventricle. So as a contraction occurs here, that results in the opening, the sudden opening of the semi-lunar valve in the pulmonary artery, and the deoxygenated blood enters into the pulmonary artery and it goes to the two lungs. It goes into the lungs. In the lungs, it leaves, the blood leaves the carbon dioxide, the gaseous waste here in the lungs, and the blood receives what? Oxygen. It receives oxygen. Now the blood is known as the oxygenated blood. the oxygen rich blood, because blood receives oxygen from the lungs, both lungs. And now that oxygenated blood has to reach the heart. For that, there is another blood vessel that is known as a pulmonary vein. Pulmonary vein. This is a pulmonary artery that carries impure blood to the lungs. In the lungs, the blood leaves the carbon dioxide and takes in oxygen. Oxygenation occurs. Okay, and that oxygenated blood is reaching to the left auricle of the heart through pulmonary vein. Through pulmonary vein. That is, the oxygenated blood is reaching to the heart through pulmonary vein. So the two pulmonary veins rises from the left lung as well as here also, from the right lung also, two pulmonary veins. Both the pulmonary veins, so we cannot show the pulmonary veins which are arising from the right lung in this diagram here. Imagine that is going through the back side of the heart, and that also, the pulmonary veins from right lung also open in the left auricle. Now the oxygenated blood is passing or enters into the left auricle through pulmonary veins. Through pulmonary veins. These are the pulmonary veins. Pulmonary veins. 4 pulmonary veins are there. Okay. So that is a pulmonary veins. So here we can see the pulmonary artery that is going from the heart with deoxygenated blood. But this is a pulmonary vein that is coming from the lungs to the heart with oxygenated blood. Now what happens? Now our left auricle. Now the left auricle is filled with which blood? Left auricle is filled with pure blood or oxygenated blood. And the auricle starts expanding. After then, the auricle starts contraction. That is the diastole. The systole of the auricle. Auricular systole. Okay. And as a result of this auricular contraction, what happens? The bicuspid valve opens. It is down the way. The bicuspid valve opens down the way, and suddenly that valve opens, and the oxygenated blood rushes into the, which part is this? Rushes into the left ventricle. Now our left ventricle is filled with what blood? Oxygenated blood. Okay. Now what happens? This ventricle, the left ventricle starts contracting, squeezing. Here we can see another artery. Here there is another artery that is the major blood vessel in our body, which is I think this diagram is a bit confusing. Anyway, I am drawing like this, the deoxygenated blood. Okay, so this is our artery that is arising from which part of the body, which part of the heart? From the left ventricle. From the left ventricle there arises another blood vessel, that is, I will label it here, that is, I am drawing a thick line here because this color is not that much clear, that is why. Okay. So this artery is our aorta. This is the aorta. So the valve, the bicuspid valve opens when the when the left auricle is filled with pure blood. The bicuspid valve opens, the pure blood reaches, the oxygenated blood reaches the left ventricle, then the left ventricle contracts. That contraction of the left ventricle results in the opening of another semilunar valve in the aorta. That semilunar valve is known as aortic semilunar valve. That is the aortic, this is a pulmonary semilunar valve here. This is the aortic semilunar valve. Aortic semilunar valve. So both the semilunar valves are the arterial semilunar valves because they are the semilunar, because they are the valves which are present in the arteries. So the aortic semilunar valve separates the aorta from the left ventricle. Now what happens? The pure blood, as a result of the ventricular contraction, the aortic semilunar valve opens and the pure blood or the oxygenated blood enters into the aorta, it passes through the aorta and it goes to different parts of the body. It goes to different parts of the body through branches of aorta. Passes through different parts, so it goes to the different parts of the body through branches of aorta. So aorta is a major blood vessel, that is the artery that arises from the left ventricle, and the valve which separates the aorta from the left ventricle is the aortic semilunar valve. Okay dear students, now I think we can see a video. We can see an amazing 3D video that will be helpful for you to understand the detailed structure of our heart. After that, once again I will draw the diagram quickly.
Heart. The heart is a complex pumping organ. If we look at a section of the heart, we observe that it receives deoxygenated blood from different parts of the body in its right atrium. Now, the tricuspid valve opens and the blood keeps flowing into the right ventricle. Then, the right atrium contracts, pushing the remaining blood into the right ventricle. It then contracts to push the blood into the pulmonary artery, which carries the blood to the lungs. The pulmonary veins bring back the oxygenated blood into the left atrium of the heart. During atrial contraction, the blood passes through the bicuspid valve into the left ventricle. During ventricular contraction, the blood is pumped into the aorta, from where it goes to various parts of the body. Specific group of cells in heart continuously generate impulses, which can cause the rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the atria and the ventricles. Inside the heart, blood flows in a specific direction. The contraction of the atria is called the atrial systole. At this time, the ventricles are in diastole. Then the ventricles contract, and this is called ventricular systole, and the atria are in diastole. This sequence of events, which occurs from the beginning of one heartbeat to the beginning of the second one, is called the cardiac cycle.
So I hope the video is very clear for you. That is an interesting video. Okay, now a quick recap. You know that our heart is a conical shaped muscular structure, muscular organ. It is very important to learn how to draw the diagram of human heart. Okay, so now we'll see that our heart is a conical shaped muscular organ located over the diaphragm, and it is tilted towards the left side of the body, and we can see the partition which is the septum. Now I am drawing this pulmonary artery. Students, you can also draw with me. Okay, this is a pulmonary artery, and here it is the inferior vena cava, and here comes the superior vena cava, and now we can see the pulmonary veins here. So this is an easy diagram. This is one of the easy diagrams. Okay, we can draw like this. The aorta is coming like this. So is like this. And now here some congestion is there because the small size of the board. And here what structure is here, that is our tricuspid valve. Here we can see the which valve, bicuspid valve. These are the semilunar valves of the pulmonary artery and aorta. This is our right auricle, this is our left auricle. Here comes the right ventricle, this is our left ventricle. Okay, and here what happens is, now we can show this. This is our right auricle, which is filled with what? Impure blood or deoxygenated blood. Here also the deoxygenated blood, but here this is a deoxygenated blood, and here we can see the pure blood or oxygenated blood in our left auricle. In our left ventricle also there is oxygenated blood. Okay, now this is our superior vena cava. This is our superior vena cava. Superior vena cava. This is a inferior vena cava. Inferior vena cava. Superior and inferior vena cava. This is our pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery that goes to two lungs. And this is our pulmonary veins. Pulmonary veins. Okay, and what is this? This is our pulmonary, that I have written here, pulmonary artery. Okay, and this is a aorta. Okay, now when the valve opens, there is a chance, there is a probability of the back flow of blood. Blood is coming from the right auricle to the right ventricle. Here from the left auricle to the left ventricle. But there is a chance for the back flow of blood or the regurgitation of blood. That is not good. It is a bad thing. So to prevent that, these tricuspid valves, these tricuspid as well as the bicuspid valve will close. It opens and suddenly it closes. Okay, when it closes, that makes a sound. That is the first heart sound. That is known as lub. That is the first heart sound, which is the lub. That is the closure of the tricuspid and bicuspid valve, or it is a sound of the closure of the auriculoventricular valves. That is the first heart sound. That is lub. The sound lub. Okay. And what helps the bicuspid as well as tricuspid valve to anchor, to keep in this position itself? That is with the help of chordae tendineae. It is with the help of chordae tendineae, the thread-like structures which are attached to the papillary muscles. That chordae tendineae pulls the tricuspid as well as the bicuspid valve downwards. Otherwise, it will go upwards. That may cause the regurgitation of blood or the back flow of the blood. To prevent the back flow of the blood, the chordae tendineae helps. That pulls the valves downwards. And the closure of these auriculoventricular valves makes the sound lub. Now, these semilunar valves opens for the passage of blood through the pulmonary artery as well as through the aorta. From the pulmonary artery, blood reaches, the deoxygenated blood reaches the lungs, and through the aorta, the pure blood goes to different parts of the body. And here also, if the valves, first the valves opens, then suddenly the valves closes, and that closure of the semilunar valve makes the second heart sound. That is the sound dub. That is the sound dub. Dub. So the first heart sound is lub and the second heart sound is dub. When our heart beats, if we are using a stethoscope, we can hear the sounds like this: lub, dub, lub, dub, lub, dub. Then a pause. Again, lub, dub. And it is like lub, dub, lub, dub, lub, dub, lub, dub, like that. Okay. So that is the sound comes by the closure of the tricuspid and bicuspid valve as well as the closure of the semilunar valves. Okay dear students, I hope this is clear, and we will see the conduction of the electrical impulse or the cardiac activity in our next class. Okay, so I hope this is clear and we will meet in our next class. See you soon. Bye. Thank you.